This is an informal WebTrak feature review looking at a few of the larger airports that also use WebTrak. Here we are, we can see Heathrow Airport, which is a user of WebTrak, and also Los Angeles or LAX in the LA Basin, both users of WebTrak. First off, there are two modes with WebTrak, and that is real-time, where we can see almost real-time data, generally aged about 20 minutes, or historical, which is looking back at things in the last hour or a few days ago. You can see for the time here, it's 6:10 in the afternoon at Los Angeles, which means it's very busy, and you can see lots of operations being portrayed on the map. You can zoom in and out using the plus and minus buttons to the left, or you just use the mouse wheel as long as there's focus on the map. Here at Heathrow, it's 2:21 in the morning, which means it's very quiet and there's not many operations, in fact none, that we can see on the map. Correspondingly, the noise monitors are showing fairly flat noise, and it's fairly quiet at this time of night. The monitors are not just showing aircraft noise, they're also showing environmental noise. We can show that they've recorded aircraft noise after the fact. You can see that when they reach peaks and it gets quite high for those monitors, it'll turn yellow and then a little bit more red. And you can see as the aircraft goes past the monitor, we're getting a peak because most of the noise is coming out from the engines behind the aircraft. You can click on the monitor to make the little noise graph persistent, and then click it again to make it disappear. WebTrak will display all operations that are recorded by the radar, so not just operations that are occurring at the airport. You can see helicopters that are moving around here on the map, as well as operations from other airports and civil aviation and so on. Hovering the mouse on any of the aircraft will give us as much information as we can get about that operation, including the flight ID, destination and origin, and the aircraft type. If we do get aircraft type through to WebTrak, then we can display the appropriate icon to show the user whether it's a small aircraft or a large one, or a helicopter and so on. We also have a few other features on the map that can be enabled if the customer wishes. We can have a weather layer, which can be turned on or off. And we can also change how the map is displayed. You can see there's a choice of a few different types. You can see we have the aerial photography layer, as well as a terrain layer, clearly displaying the Los Angeles Basin here, and a hybrid layer. So when we are loading the buffer full of aircraft, even for real time, you see we can actually use the buffer to move back and forth and look at what happened in the last 10 to 30 minutes. And that buffer will slowly load for the hour. So there are also some tabs where you can configure different things along the bottom left-hand side. And you can make that persistent so it remembers the changes you make. Here, the airport has provided a noise contour, which can be displayed as a layer on the map. So there's lots of different options you can have in your WebTrak if you wish. Here at Heathrow, they have decided to also show their flight corridors, which aircraft, departing and arriving aircraft must align to. And we can show single corridors or the whole lot if we wish. Furthermore, if we wish, we can show violations of those corridors. Here at Heathrow also, it displays the rainfall layer. I believe that's in 15-minute slices. That's obtained from the Bureau of Meteorology, just showing what the rainfall areas were like every quarter of the hour. So of the two modes now, we're going to look at historic because there's not much going on at Heathrow to look at right now. You get to choose your date, and we can go back quite far in terms of how much data is retained. And then just pick the hour that we want to review, click set, and this will load the buffer with that hour's worth of operations data. WebTrak is used basically as a self-investigatory tool, answering the question, at least for the public, for what was that, and also can answer the question of whether the flight that went over there or disturbed them, whether it belonged to the actual airport nearby or was from somewhere else. Users can also do an address lookup to find their place of residence, or just drop the icon on the map. And from here, once we have an address, a whole bunch of other options open up for the operations. So I can click on an operation. You can see there's some icons along the bottom there which are available to us. And there's even more information that we can do because we can look up aircraft's database, airport's database, and so on to get more information. We can choose to report an aircraft, which would be a complaint about a particular aircraft. We can show the static track of the aircraft. And we can show what's called point of closest approach. And that will show for that aircraft at this position in time exactly how close it came to the location marker. Other options include WebTrak My Neighborhood, which is another investigatory tool. Here we can see where the user would report an aircraft. And the details we really need are the time of disturbance and the lat long, which is provided by the address marker. And the person would hopefully fill out the details of their contact details and also specify the type of complaint. Most importantly, whether they want the complaints to be responded to. So if there's a choice of no here, the complaint comes in just as a complaint. And if there's a yes chosen, then the person has decided that they wish to get a response from the airport. You can pause the playback at any time. You can see with the gear icon those options are enabled. And we can also change the speed of the replay, generally only in historic playback mode. And this gives the user a really good idea of standard operations at the airport. As well as back at Los Angeles, where we can also look at historical mode and set and load data for that time. In historic mode, when noise events are detected that are clearly attributable to an aircraft in the vicinity, then we'll change the icon for the noise monitor sites to a rectangle, signifying that the noise that was listed was not just environmental, but we're pretty certain that it was caused by an aircraft passing over. And you can see those rectangles there.